Alright, good afternoon, Mrs. Linda and my fellow classmates. Today, Cecile and I will be doing a presentation on the cultural redemption.
Well, everyone, we will now present the cultural redemption of 1.0. Let's begin.
Operation Uno Introduction. The movie review that I have selected through luck is The Red Redemption that was released in 2011. Yes. What is the movie about? The movie Red in 2011 was known as Serbuan Maut in the Indonesian language when it was released in Indonesia in 2011. And as mentioned, it was released here. It was directed by Gareth Evans, a Welsh director, and it stars famous actors Iko Uwais, Joe Taslim, and Pierre Bruno. Joe Taslim has also earned fame in international films such as the Fast and Furious 6, and Iko Uwais also has a cameo in the movie Star Wars: The Force Awakens in 2015. And the movie genre of it predictably lies in an action flick. Thanks. Movie synopsis. As 20 SWAT officers search a building to capture a high-profile drug gang leader, their operation suddenly goes horribly wrong and the team must fight their way out to survive. However, as the movie slowly unravels, there lies a deeper mystery behind the trap and whatnot. Yes, thanks. Oh. Operation 2, studied by Scott Higgins. The mise-en-scene of the movie is as follows. The movie makes use extensively of airsoft props, and no real firearms were used. Because unlike Hollywood, in Hollywood the rifles used in action movies like John Wick and whatnot, they use crimped nose blanks. Blanks, that means the rifle actually operates like the real one, but when the bullet impacts on the person, it's harmless. In order to tell the difference between the airsoft and the real steel version of the gun, you notice that there is a small little thing on the barrel of this revolver here. You notice that is actually an airsoft version because there's the chamber for the BB rounds to fire. The ejector shells and flashes were all added digitally in the movie. Let's say when you saw the people getting shot and all the lights, all the people getting shot and the villains and heroes all shooting the guns and whatnot, everything, the ejector shells, the flashes were added digitally. In one scene in a dark room in the apartment, when the gangsters ambush another squad of poor cops, there were lights blinking, the lights were actually flashing to replicate the effect of the flashes of gunshots. The actors, and in this case here, as you can see, the gangsters ambushed two poor cops on the SWAT truck. And the two cops were having this what about the game yesterday? And one of them got shot, and all the gangsters here, actually, it's just the airsoft gun operating, but as mentioned earlier, there are digital effects to add to make it look authentic. The actors, and in this case, the actors here trained extensively with Indonesian Special Forces for the shoot of the movie, Naval Special Ops, and in this case here, Iko Uwais and Joe Taslim were actually trained with Indonesian Special Ops, and they were competing to field strip and reassemble the guns in this picture here in parts of the making. Yayan Ruhian, which is the actor from Mad Dog, also happens to choreograph the Silat fighting in the movie. Next. One quirk about this movie is that it's heavily derived from the Die Hard on an Axe trope that is basically a staple of most action movies. When you want to make an action movie but you're running out of ideas, well, when in doubt, go for the Die Hard concept. The Die Hard concept here is a plot in which the villain and a small group takes a group like an army. They take over a certain location, but at least one person is overlooked. Basically, is overlooked if not basically like, oh, it's just a minor issue. Don't bother about him. And he slowly fights back and overcomes the opposition. The reason why the Die Hard movie became a staple for action movies to follow is because in this case the protagonist is outnumbered, outgunned, and he has to use various tactics to survive, like psychological warfare and such. It's derived from the movie here in the 1980s, starring Bruce Willis here and the late Alan Rickman. Because Alan Rickman was Hans Gruber in the movie, but Alan Rickman has unfortunately passed on last year. The model of this movie, as mentioned here, it has left numerous spin-offs and sequels in its wake. Because other movies, more recent movies like Olympus Has Fallen, White House Down, they all follow the same derivative They follow the same Die Hard on an X derivative to drive the plot in motion. Thanks. Comparisons between the two movies. Die Hard and The Raid. Let's see. Both in Die Hard, the hero is usually outnumbered. It's one man, which is John McClane himself, versus 12 terrorists, 12 attackers of the Nakatomi building. In The Raid, there was a similar scenario. The hero, the main protagonist, Rama, is outnumbered, but in this case it was different because because Rama was started out with 20 men, including him. His team was gradually slaughtered with very little survivors in the end, and he has to face legions of enemies. He's outnumbered, he's outgunned, but he still has to fight the legion of enemies in order to survive. And though the odds are stacked against John McClane in this case, he actually has backup from outside from a cop. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. In the Raid's case, on the other hand, the hero, as mentioned earlier, the hero and surviving members of the squad are on their own. The reason why they didn't have backup was because Lieutenant Wire later on said, it's a classified operation, there is no backup, we're on our own, GG. And in this case, and in both movies, there's a particular second in command in the movie, like every main villain has a second in command working for him. In Die Hard's case, Carl is the name of the second in command that gives John McClane the most trouble. In The Raid, we have this similar problem. Mad Dog, in this case, which is starred by Yayan Ruhian, he was the one that gives the heroes the most trouble, was the one who killed Jakar, and Rama and Andy took the toughest time in order to take him down. And in Die Hard, there are moments of humor, and the Die Hard movie is a tinge lighter and softer because the movie prefix is on Christmas, and there are some humorous scenes along the way. Raid, on the other hand, is a serious movie through and through, with no moments of humor. Next. Yes, the Die Hard, one of the most infamous Die Hard scenes is this. Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Thanks. One quote about action movies and movies that rely on action is a suspenseful situation. Because in one, they bounce a feeling of hesitation and nervousness about the outcome of multiple actions. Like for example, when the hero is when the protagonist is inside an empty building, it's like nothing has happened, but something's gonna happen, and then somebody opens the door. Is it a bad guy? Oh, false alarm, it's just a friend. Because these scenes, because suspenseful moments rely primarily on tension, and these suspense frequently make people think, as mentioned earlier, everyone would think it's a bad thing's going to happen and whatnot, but also have a bigger perspective on advancing events that follow. Examples include transitions and because in TV series, suspenseful situations are often a staple. And they include such as transitions to the next episode, usage of wham lines and whatnot. In some cases, one anime I watched turned it into a meme form to be continued. Every time there was a suspenseful situation, the camera pauses, the scene turns into something like this, and it says to be continued because it leaves the viewers hanging, not knowing what happens next.
That's why in most animation, right, it's called anticipation. Before you can create a successful situation, there's always anticipation. The moment before the action has been taken, just like when you punch someone, in this case, bang, my hand moves up in order to do the motion, that's anticipation. Then you guys will momentarily eye towards him because he is moving backwards. That is the moment the situation is going to happen.
Right, without further ado, I shall pass the torch to Sisi.
Alright, now we're talking about transnational cinema. It's different from the world of cinema. Alright, the term was originally, the theory itself came from Elizabeth Astra and also from Terry Wood. It says here it comprises globalization and the counter actually, this is very complicated. So I'll just go to my interpretation of it. Honestly, when I read this, it was a bit confusing. So see, around the First World War, or the Great War, as the Brits like to call it, the film industry, or rather, American film industry, which is Hollywood, were literally the most dominating film industry of all time. They literally, basically step upon any other film industry that was, at that era, because hey, they were the one with the great visual effects, the production, they had the money, and all those kind of things. Basically, the films that were coming out, sorry, it's a bit nervous here. But what we most know is that in Hollywood itself, right, it's noticing that they created a trend that has been coming on and on every single time. Have you all seen movies these days? Everything that's Hollywood made, action films, they need to have that sparkly effects, like gunfire. It doesn't matter if your story sucks. It just had to look good. I mean, I'm not trying to berate them. Look, Hollywood is great. They are improving in terms of their visual effects. You see these days, how Star Wars, when you see the massive effects there, and even other films like anyways, what we see is only a fractional part of what it really is. Hollywood actually taken the form of other mediums, other countries to help bring about story, but most of the time they don't really dive too deep into it. They just want to take that little surface concept. They show you, oh, this concept was basically based on this country. Say, if anyone knows the Pontianak or those kind of thing, they are based from third world countries like us, or for say Indonesia, the Pontianak, if that's what I call Pocong. They literally took that form of those things, create a comedy out of it, but it's basically just, just being funny. There's no story going on. They just, oh, I scare you, oh, this jump scares.
Next one.
Yeah, that's another part of it. That's what I call a mile wide but an inch deep. It basically means that, they expanded so far, but yet why does this feel so bland? Right? The previously one of the film that I watched, The Dark Tower by Stephen King. I assume anyone has read the freaking novel. I'm sure it's an awesome novel, by the way. When I watched the film itself, I just felt so lost. They had this world building that they did at the background, but yet the more the story goes, they are just trying to go for that. Oh, the main characters, the father figure, towards this young character who is the savior of the world. Basically going towards the demographic, because this is what people want to see. They want to see the hero, the anti-hero helping the young one achieve the goal. And in the end, they hate each other, but yet by the end they love each other, and then they're gonna end up going on adventures together. Simple, but yet I kind of question why did the sorcerer wanted to kill one of the main characters in the first place? Why was the concept? Why did not destroy the towers? It was explained in the novel, but in the movie, with only 2 hours to spare, I thought they had enough time to do that, unless they create a sequel.
Next.
I mean, even, Sure. Even something like this, the queer. Hollywood itself, right, we have already watched so many nice queer movies made by other countries, like Spain, or others, for the previous semester. But yeah, you see the one that popularized, everyone who sees Brokeback Mountain knows specifically, oh, it's the gay couples. But this is you only know them as gays. So what? Just because the 2 cowboys come in love with each other, they only just take the surface level, as I call it. 2 cowboys going through adventure together. They don't really touch up on it. It's just a story with romantic plots, similar to anything else, and a lot of conflict done. But they make it so they make it so apparent, saying, hey guys, gays, like that. That's how it feels to me. Unlike All About Your Mother, right? I mean, it's not that they throw the gay, the queer onto your face. They just let the story flow and let you see the society for itself. That's what I mean. Hollywood only takes that one layer, but they don't really care about the rest here. Alright, so how the hell did a white dude was able to create one of the most famous action film of all time? And for God's sake, Pancasila is an Indonesian film, and it was made by a Dutch director. You see, during his first few years, Director Gareth Evans, he stayed in Jakarta for, if I'm not mistaken, 4 years. And at that time, he felt like the community in Indonesia was amazing. They were friendly people, even though most people mentioned that. Sorry, let me go back a bit. That country is basically populated by Muslims, right? As you guys know. And yet, they're all very friendly to him. I mean, everything you see in news media, people talking about like how Muslims are bad, terrorism, this kind of thing. It makes you really think about like, wow, why is that? So he himself, right, he wanted to make a documentary, but documentaries are not really that famous, so he took an action film in the concept. So that's why the martial arts was inspired from it.
Yes.
Spoken by Joko Anwar here, he said that he's very kind and very polite. Funny enough, he mentioned that Gareth Evans here was more Indonesian than most people. Because I think the reason why is because they don't see the race or the color. They just see you for who you are. You're a great person, you're a good person to them. And also he respects their culture. He really does. That's why he went through all his heart to make sure that the representation of the race was at least the most as accurate as possible. That's why you see so many of it goes along with the fighting and martial arts. They go very close because they want to see how amazing that martial art is. Not just all the, you see most Hollywood usually they like to pan away to make you see all the light slashing here and there, bright lights, gunfire, in order to say that, oh, there is fighting going on, but it's off screen. But this time they show to you, this is how hard it took them to really captivate the martial arts, which is Pancasila.
Thanks.
That's all of that. Hey, now look at how tall he is, oh my goodness. Yeah, unfortunately, the Asian genes, I think, doesn't really work well with our heights, don't you think? Next. So, taken from Joko Anwar himself, he expresses the admiration for Evans' film. It's because he created a movie, like I said, respect and passion. He doesn't create it because he wants the money. He created it because he wants people to understand and learn about the culture that was in it. Maybe if most of us, you might not see it because he said, oh, God, but honestly, yeah, when you really take a look at it, it does have a lot of little tidbits of small minor details that you can see. And that was what's important to him. Anwar mentioned that he really initially hated most filmmakers who want to make a quick cash grab. They make films over and over again because they know people will watch it, like the Call of Duty series. Nobody gives a damn about the freaking story of that game, but yet people will still buy it. Same goes in movies. You give them zombies, you give them vampires, you give them anything. I don't really like Walking Dead or anything else. Let's just say that once you keep repeating this concept, right, it's a good concept.